So, folks, many of you might know this, but recently, in fact, I believe it was just yesterday, reported by Forbes magazine and a bunch of other sites that 53 talents, wrestlers, referees, managers, whatever, are in another lawsuit, a concussion lawsuit against the WWE. I don't know every single detail about this, but I would imagine, like other concussion lawsuits, it has to do with the fact that, WWE didn't inform them about the effects of concussions or didn't take care of them or this kind of stuff. AKA, these guys spent all their goddamn money, and now they're basically doing this because they want a cash grab. So that's basically what it is. So I'm sitting back, by the way, here, because that's what I want to do. I have a list of the talents and wrote them down. Now, some of them I will not rant on because I don't really care. In all due respect, some of them, the names don't mean much to me, but I will mention them. But I'm going to go down the list, and this is all. And if I miss any of them, if the reports I saw in Forbes or wherever are incomplete, and I forgot a name, I apologize. But Road Warrior Animal. Okay. I want to try and be lenient here because the man lost his longtime partner, tag partner, and, basically a brother, even though not by blood, but brother as a friend, Hawk.
Brother Nero.
And not Brother Nero, Cassie. That's Cassie off to the side. No, in all seriousness, Road Warrior Animal did lose his tag team partner, longtime tag team partner, and it really deeply affected him. But, to be fair, they worked a lot in the 80s and 90s and even the early 2000s together before Hawk's tragic death in 2003.
Not cool, brother.
It is not. That's Hogan. It is sad how that happened. Different era, yes, injury. They worked through a lot of injuries, this kind of stuff. Maybe the medical wasn't all that great, but they still made quite a bit of money. That's my main issue about this. With Road Warrior Animal, the guy's in the Hall of Fame. He's lucky he's in the goddamn Hall of Fame now because this would have ended any chance of him ever being in the Hall of Fame. Any chance of it. And that's going to be the same with anybody here that isn't in the Hall of Fame already. So, Road Warrior Animal, I don't know what injuries he has, but I can't imagine for the few years that he worked in WWE, along with Hawk, that he had any more injuries there, even with that road schedule, than he would have with the Crockett's, in AWA, in Japan, in WCW. I can't imagine that he only got injuries and only got concussions working for Vince. So the main one I really want to talk about is Jimmy Snuka. So Jimmy Snuka isn't mentally capable of standing trial, yet he can sign autographs at WrestleCon 2017. I hope I got that right. He can sign autographs, whether his family's going to be there with him or not, doesn't matter. Or he can, sue, but he can sue Vince also. So you can do this, but you can't stand trial for a woman you murdered years and years ago. And by the way, Vince kept you out of jail, which is wrong for Vince to do if Vince knew about it. But Vince managed to give Snuka a hell of a career and basically give him, a healthy living, knowing that Snuka probably murdered him. Or murdered his girlfriend, rather. That is pretty ridiculous. So Snuka, you're a piece of shit. Whether you're suffering from illnesses or not, they're going to kill you. You're a piece of shit for what you did, and I hope that you suffer greatly because this is bullshit. That you would sit in on a lawsuit, yet you can't stand trial for something that you fucking did with pretty much goddamn certainty. Snuka, you're a piece of crap. And anybody that defends Snuka, you're also a piece of crap. Sorry, some of my friends. You actually aren't pieces of crap. I just don't agree with you if you defend Snuka. But that's your business. Paul Orndorff. This is one that's troubling me because I'm really a big fan of Paul Orndorff. He is in the Hall of Fame, thankfully. But the man worked in WWE really for only about, 3-4 years? And worked in Florida before that. And maybe Florida after that. But he also worked in WCW for a number of years. And then retired in 95 due to a neck injury. And then came back and wrestled some in 99-2000. He didn't wrestle for long. But still, the guy wrestled more in WCW than he wrestled in WWE. Even with the road schedule and even with the stuff that, injuries that he no doubt suffered. So Paul Orndorff doing this, you should have saved your damn money, man. That's just what you should have done. I don't know the pain that these guys suffered, but it's pretty damn ridiculous and convenient that all these guys suddenly are attacking Vince like Vince is the only guy that never took care of him. Chavo Guerrero Jr. Chavo, you work in Lucha Underground where they still do headshots, chair shots of the head and stuff, and yet you're complaining that Vince didn't take care of you and any concussions you received. I mean, Chavo, you've been skating on the Guerrero name for years while being a mid-card talent at best. So maybe get out of Lucha Underground where they're doing chair shots of the head, and maybe then I can feel a little more sorry for you. But I don't feel sorry for you now. Exactly. Chavo Guerrero Sr. Chavo's dad, obviously. I don't know what you suffered as far as like any injuries, but I don't know how long you worked for Vince besides when you were Chavo's manager and wrestled a couple matches. But look, you suffered a lot of injuries working in Mexico and places like that. It ain't Vince's fault. You didn't take care of yourself and your money.
Somebody called the ambulance.
That's right. Brian Clark, Adam Bomb. Look, you're lucky that anybody even still remembers you, and this is from somebody that was a hell of a damn talent. Adam Bomb, which was a gimmick doomed to fail, by the way, yet somehow he's in 3 straight Royal Rumbles. I think he was in 3 straight, or at least 2 straight. Somebody that, pretty good talent, then went and went to WCW, and then came back to WWE for a little bit. That just didn't work at all.
Don't worry, he's probably confused how many it is too.
Confused at how many Adam Bombs he took?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, that's the voice of unreason off to the side.
Hello. Hello there, childrens.
I mean, Cassie, really? I mean, I was just aware of that. Anyway, so Adam Bomb. Look, Brian Clark, you're lucky that Vince even gave you a second shot when you came back with Brian Adams teaming as Chronic. Then you fucking no-sold to Kane and Taker at Unforgiven 2001 and got fired subsequently after that. And I'm not going to speak ill about Brian Adams. He's not on this thing. Not that Brian Adams, the singer, but the wrestler. I'm not going to speak ill about him because he's dead. Tragically passed away in his early 40s. But Brian Clark, really, I mean, you should have taken better care of yourself with your money and everything, and then maybe you wouldn't be in this position. Ahmed Johnson. I mean, how dare you, Ahmed Johnson? Vince tried to push you like crazy. You couldn't stay healthy. You injured opponents. You injured yourself. You took your goddamn kidneys almost exploded.
So he's the Eva Marie of wrestling?
No, Ahmed Johnson had a presence about him. Ahmed Johnson was somebody that Vince tried pushing for a couple years, and it just didn't work. Then he went to WCW.
And he pushed him off a cliff.
He's not dead. Became the name Big T, which literally he gained like 80 pounds, so it was apropos. But Ahmed Johnson, one of the biggest goddamn failures in wrestling. And oh no, let's sue Vince because I couldn't take care of myself and I couldn't appreciate what I had at the time. Kamala. Look, Kamala worked in WCCW and some other promotions. He also worked in WWF. Back when it was WWF, and he worked in WCW. And he wrestled for a while, and then unfortunately lost his legs, I believe, to diabetes. I'm serious, I believe he did. At least he lost his legs due to complications from it. So obviously he's not able to wrestle. That would be kind of interesting if he was somehow able to still wrestle with no legs. But that's not really something to joke about. That is terrible that he did. But it is not Vince's fault that he did not take care of himself. Not Vince's fault. Kamala worked for other companies and wrestled after WWE and still didn't take care of himself. David Earl Hebner. David Earl Hebner screwed Hulk Hogan in 1988 at Saturday Night's Main Event, and then Earl screwed Bret in 1997 in the Montreal Screwjob. I don't really have a lot of sympathy for these guys since they were selling merchandise, unlicensed merchandise, and got fired from WWF in, I believe, 2005 or 06. I think it was, no, it was 05. And since then, they've been working in TNA, or at least Earl has. I don't know if Dave has. But I don't know why they would think that they would, have anything to gain from this, because they've taken referee bumps, but sorry, you guys signed up for the profession. That's ultimately what this is. A lot of these people signed up for this profession. King Kong Bundy. I mean, really. The guy, was a part of a couple Mania moments, and that's the best he could do, is sue Vince for this, after Vince was gracious to bring him back in the mid-90s, like early to mid-90s, when he really wasn't the same performer that he was. Just ridiculous. Ridiculous King Kong Bundy would do this. But again, I don't know what all the health problems these guys have, but sorry, it's like the former players in the NFL suing. It is ridiculous that you're going to sue the league that paid you, even if you felt you should have earned more, You guys signed up for it. Ultimately, you knew what it was going to do to your body. You guys are, it's like in wrestling, you guys are hitting each other multiple times, hitting a mat in a ring that is not soft at all. And doing it time after time, year after year. You guys are beating up your bodies for the entertainment of the fans and everything. And we're grateful to you guys for it. But the fact you're only going to focus on Vince, sure, none of these other promoters are really in business anymore at all. But you're going to sue Vince for what you did to your bodies before and after you went to his company? That is ridiculous. Ken Patera, former strongman, I don't know what his health was like. I don't care. Sabu. Sabu's one I'm going to focus on. Sabu, you beating your body to shit for no damn reason, for no money, in Paul Heyman's ECW, in FMW in Japan. You still beat up your body even now. Apparently, shout out to @BigBird432 for pointing this out. you had a cage match with Sandman. I forget what the company was for. Chris, you might have to tell me about this on Twitter or just leave a comment on YouTube. But he had a cage match with Sandman. Sandman's not even listed in this. And Sandman's somebody to beat his body up to shit. Sabu, you're an idiot. You're an ungrateful individual that didn't even appreciate what you had. You worked in WWE for a little bit, then got busted for pot possession with RVD, still wrestled a little bit in WWE, and then asked for your release after a year, or were released after a year, I forget what. You may have not gotten all the payouts you deserved, but you didn't save your money. You apparently have been a prick to a lot of people and promoters, and now all of a sudden you want to sue because your body's so beat up, your brain's so scrambled. You did it to yourself, Sabu. You're the one that did it to yourself. So don't fucking complain or whine because Vince, who employed you for a year, maybe, it's like, oh, Vince is the one that gave me all the concussions. No, you fucking did that to yourself. Smash and Axe. Bye-bye Demolition's chances of going into the Hall of Fame. Bye. Apparently Axe has had a contentious relationship with Vince for a while. Smash, Barry Darso. I don't know. They could have also suffered some injuries too. I did not bother to look up all these injuries because I don't know what is true and what isn't. But Demolition's not going in the Hall of Fame now unless they drop out of this lawsuit. Vince could always take back any of the talents or build a bridge with some of these talents if they drop out of the lawsuit. If they continue with the lawsuit, he may blacklist them, and he's got every right to. Berserker, John Nord, a.k.a. John Nord. Berserker was a low-level tall jobber that really never meant anything, and all of a sudden, he's going to claim that he suffered concussions just from Vince and not from other promotions. Johnny the Bull, don't really care. Don't care. Jim Brunzell, part of the Killer Bees, not the Killer Bees. Jim Brunzell, I think he might have suffered concussions with Vern Gagne also, in that promotion. So just focus on Vince is pretty ridiculous. Sue Green. I don't know who Sue Green is. Sorry. Don't have a clue. Wrote the name down, though. Angelo Mosca. It's a little surprised he's on there. But whatever. I respect Angelo Mosca to a point, so I'm not going to really speak ill of him. Jim Powers. Jim, you had the great look, and you were lucky that anybody really gave you a chance because your look, while impressive, your physique, you had the look of a jobber. No one really cared about you. Paul Roma to an extent because at least he tried to flesh himself out as a singles wrestler. Jim Powers was somebody who kept a job in WWE and WCW a lot longer than I thought he would. Oh, let me sue Vince. No. You don't deserve that money. You should have saved your own. Mike Enos, same. Maybe you wrestled in WWE for a spell too, but you wrestled in WCW for quite a bit. You should have saved your money because those contracts are guaranteed. Butch Reed, the Natural. Why didn't you save your money? You had some WrestleMania payoffs. Couldn't have saved your money. You worked in WCW when they started giving out guaranteed contracts in the late 80s, early 90s. You could have saved your goddamn money. I guess you're just a natural prick. Jazz, you were made of glass anyway. You got injured no matter what you did. So yeah, let's sue Vince because of this. It's ridiculous. Sylvain Grenier. He's like one of the few from like the whole La Resistance stable. He's like probably the one from the La Resistance stable I have nothing against. Because I'm sure he suffered injuries. I mean, I'm sure all these wrestlers did. The wrestling business is tough and taxing on people. But Sylvain, look, you made your choice. You got a pretty good push, and then you got released from the company. And now I think you're just having sour grapes because you didn't save your money. Omar Atlas, no clue who he is. Don Leo Jonathan, easy for me to say. Big man from back in the day. Pretty talented. I will not speak ill of him. Shane Douglas. Shane Douglas is somebody I'm going to speak ill of. Because while he was a good tag team wrestler, he was one of the shining stars, not the jobbers, in ECW. And let me tell you right now, he beat up his body and did more drugs, more booze and everything in ECW and WCW. So by the time he even got to TNA, when he was still a fairly young man, oh, he threw up in a match against Raven. And I'm talking Ralphing on a pay-per-view. Oh no, but Shane, it's Vince's fault. All Vince's fault for the, numerous years that you worked for him. Oh wait, you maybe worked for the guy in the ring for what? 2 years tops? I don't even think you worked with him for 2 years. Maybe a year and a half. Shane, you did it to yourself. And you just cost yourself a whole bunch of stuff, especially going in the Hall of Fame. I don't think he's going to work with you for a while, if at all. Muhammad Hassan. Look, the guy had a controversial character, the Arab character and everything, despite being Italian. He got a really big push and never seemed grateful of it. So guess what, Hassan? You left the business rather than, go under a mask or whatever and do something like that. You wanted to get into acting, that's fine. You got into the business. It is not Vince's fault that happened. Henry Godwin, same thing. Henry, you were the one that didn't take time off because of a neck injury that you had. And it's not Vince's fault that you didn't take time off because of a neck injury. So, yeah, you probably wanted to get back and not lose your spot, but you did that. Sure, you probably got more concussions, but look, sorry, Henry, you did it to yourself. Princess Victoria, no clue who she is. Judy Garland, one of the former Glamour Girls. Maybe she did suffer a lot of injuries. I don't know. Not Judy Garland. Mark Jindrak. Mark, you're lucky that anybody even knows who you are anymore. You've been wrestling in Mexico for a while. I'm doing a pretty good job. But you were a jobber in Mark, you were a jobber in WCW, a jobber in WWF, and you should have saved your goddamn money because now you're just doing this for a cash grab. Bernard Knighton, rep for the Axl Rotten Estate. I'm going to choose my words carefully because Axl Rotten just recently passed away. It is very sad that Axl Rotten passed away. But for his estate to sue Vince when Axl Rotten was not in the WWF, WWE, whatever, for very long is ridiculous. Axl Rotten took so many unprotected chair shots to the head, probably got hooked on some pills. I'm just guessing because of the amount of pain he was in. But the numerous chair shots that he took and the numerous injuries he had in ECW, that is not Vince's fault. That's Axl's fault, but that's also ECW's fault. It's not Vince's fault, and I hope that this estate drops out. As sad as it is that Axl Rotten passed away, that a lot of that stuff is on him for taking the punishment that he did. Marty Jannetty. Marty, you are one of the biggest pieces of crap out there. How dare you, Marty? WWF gave you chance after chance when you kept screwing up and you couldn't stay out of jail and couldn't stay off drugs and couldn't stay off booze. And then you went off on Stephanie McMahon recently on Twitter for no damn reason, despite your name being dropped in not a very insulting way. In fact, not really insulting at all. But no, you had to go all upset and act relevant when you haven't been relevant since about 96, and even then that might be pushing it. Marty, you're one of the biggest screw-ups ever in wrestling, and you're probably doing this just because you need money, maybe to pay off your parole officer, or maybe to get your latest fix. So screw you, Marty. John Heidenreich, screw you too. Seriously, Heidenreich, you were never anything good in the ring, you were never anything good on the mic, you couldn't wrestle, you couldn't talk. You just couldn't do anything, and then you were part of LOD 2005. The fact that Vince put you in the shoulder pads is ridiculous. Goddamn ridiculous, Heidenreich. You were never anything good in the ring. Warlord and the Barbarian. Boy, the Powers of Pain, they really just kind of nixed any chance of them getting into the Hall of Fame, even though I doubt they were ever going to get in the Hall of Fame, even though they were two very good big men. I put them together because I'm kind of crunched for time, but this is just pretty ridiculous. They both did it to themselves. Warlord seemed to be doing fine as far as money. Barbarian stayed in the business for a lot of years, was even in WCW for a while. But, oh no, it's Vince's fault that he suffered so many injuries. Larry Oliver, no clue who he is. Bobby Billard, same, have no clue who he is. So I'm not going to speak ill of them. Rex King, same thing, not going to say anything. Tracy Smothers. Tracy Smothers wrestled in WCW, in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. He might have wrestled a little bit in WWF, but he wrestled mainly in ECW. He never took care of himself. He aged so fucking fast. Maybe it's because of drugs. Maybe it's because of alcohol. Maybe it's because of genetics. Maybe it's because of the fact he was Southern. I don't know. But Tracy Smothers, just, I mean, my God, he looks horrible now. Now, maybe that's because the wrestling business has been hard on him. But that's not Vince's fault. That's his fault for getting hooked on it. Mantar, add a D to the end of it, and that's exactly what I think of him. The guy was not on TV for very long, and all of a sudden thinks he can sue Vince? Sue him for the bad gimmick, maybe. But don't sue him because you suffered a concussion. I think I suffered a few concussions looking at your stupid gimmick. Black Bart, I don't know how much he worked for Vince, but, I mean, he bled quite a bit in some matches I saw in the NWA, Jim Crockett Promotions. But I don't really see how that's Vince's fault for him not taking care of himself. Slick, a little surprised Slick is on this list. Jive Soul Bro, Jive Lawsuit Boy. I mean, Jive Lawsuit Bro, man, that is just bad. That was a bad joke, by the way. Slick, though, I don't know why you're doing this. I don't know why. You can't need money that bad. Maybe you should have saved your payouts better. One Man Gang. Wow, I put Slick in One Man Gang here. One Man Gang, wow, I mean, it's a little sad. He should be in the WWE Hall of Fame for his length of tenure in wrestling. World Class Championship Wrestling, WWE, WCW. I'm sure he wrestled for other promotions, but those are the main ones I remember. I think he wrestled for Crockett at some point. But One Man Gang, pretty good talent. This pretty much just blew up any chance for him in the Hall of Fame. I'd heard he was working at the prison guard. I imagine that his he was even part of a DVD project, the True Giants. He was even part of that. And I'm thinking, okay, I guess he wasn't grateful enough for like the DVD projects and this kind of stuff and getting payouts. So maybe he didn't save his money. I don't know. JJ Funk, no clue. Lou Marconi, no clue. Rod Price, no clue. Donald Driggers, that's a hard name to pronounce, no clue. Rodney Mack, I mean, gee, Rodney, I don't know. Maybe if you would have taken care of yourself better and not gotten injured, and maybe you weren't made of glass like Jazz was, you would have stayed around more and been able to get more money. Outlaw Ron Bass, whatever. I mean, guy got his hair cut off by Bruce Beefcake. I don't know, maybe he got a concussion from that. Working with Bruce Beefcake would cause that. And Boris Zukov. Look, the bottom line is here's the deal. Are concussions a joke? No. Concussions are not a joke. They should be taken care of. It is too bad that medical science did not catch up for a long time to all this, and we're still learning so much about concussions, but we're learning more than we have. WWE has offered to pay for rehab and other medical stuff for former talents, any former talent, to take care of them. They paid for tons of rehab on people like Scott Hall, Sonny, and others.
And Cher.
And not Cher. We're not talking that Sonny. But the whole thing is that this is all on the wrestlers. You should have saved your money. You shouldn't have gotten hooked on pills and alcohol. And you got in the business knowing what the fuck you were doing.
Testify.
So I don't know, like Devon from
Yes.
ECW? Okay. Yes. You should have known what you were getting into. And the fact you didn't, I'm going to sue Vince because I didn't save my money, because I was such... because it's Vince's fault that I didn't do this. No, it's your guys' fault.
You preach the truth.
I mean, what do you mean you preach the truth? Here's the thing. Why in the world are these guys suing?
Money.
Because they're fucking desperate, because it's cash. Because they're pathetic, weak-ass individuals that I hope know that they're just blacklisting themselves from WWE and they fucking deserve it. You want to follow me on Twitter and say something to me? Follow me on Twitter, @RebornAgain, ReBourne again. But to all these talents, especially Snuka and Sabu,